Hello and welcome to this week's episode of My CP Does Not Define Me, where we focus less on the this and more on the ability of what we can do. Join us each and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live on the Disability Global Broadcast, Facebook Live, and LetGoRadio.net. Looking forward to seeing you there.
What's up, everybody? It's D to the J with the roll away, and it's that time again. It's Wednesday, October the 12th at 7 o'clock, 7:01 actually, and we are live for episode 110 of My CP Does Not Define Me. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day, and as we say, fall is now upon us, but the fall of me will never happen. Why? Because I'm sitting up, I'm in my chair, and I'm strapped in. All right, like I said, I hope everybody is doing well. We are broadcasting live on LetGoRadio.net, the Disability Global Broadcast, YouTube, Facebook, and the Three Amigos like page. So you can catch us on any of those locations and hear my wonderful voice from afar. So today, we're going to focus on something I've never covered. Not in this way at all. We are going to focus on what I like to call my time or your time. And I'm not going to do that with the fingers every time, just those couple of times to kind of get you in the mood, as it were. So as you come into the show, we are focusing on my time and AKA your time. So do us a favor, leave us a comment, let us know where you're from, how you are, say hello to us, welcome to the show. So I have been doing this show for 3 years now, over 3 years actually. September 15th was September 8th was my 3 year anniversary that Edwina and Corey Wilson allowed me to do this 3 years ago. I had the Sports Minion radio show for almost a year and a half, well, a little over, not quite a year. I had 48 episodes of the Sports Minion radio show. And then we went to My CP and we've been quote unquote running with it ever since. So here's the thing. Every week, I either have a guest or I speak all by myself. Don't want to be, anyway, not going to go there. I have the pleasure of scheduling guests and looking for people with amazing stories. And I look forward to my Wednesday shows because I have Sunday interviews that talk about and talk with the person that's going to be on the air. And what is sad to me is this Wednesday I was supposed to have a dynamic guest. Now I'm not going to mention this dynamic guest because of what happened, and I've had to reschedule her twice now. And I understand things happen. I get the fact that things happen, but I am the type of person. Hey Charles, how are you? No, we don't run, not technically, but I roll and go where I need to go. When I schedule you for something, I take it very serious. And I contacted this individual 3 days before the show was to begin. If you want to get technical, it was 2 days. But I contacted this individual and I said, are you still available for the show? Want to make sure because I'm going to put my flyer out tonight. Want to get it out there. Want to make sure everybody knows that you're going to be on. And I take it very seriously every week. I do the same thing. Whether I have a guest or not, I usually put out a flyer and I promote my show. I have 86 groups that I'm a part of. I have things that I do administratively. I have secretaries. I have people that work with me. I have people that I bounce show ideas off of constantly. And I do it all the time, every week. I try to do it 52 weeks a year, but I can't do that because we do take off for holidays sometimes. And sometimes I'm sick. Sometimes things happen. So I can't be on there for every show, but I take it very, very seriously. And I told this person that I was looking forward to having her on my show because her story is dynamic. She has one of the most dynamic stories that I've ever heard. But yet, when you don't contact me, regardless of the reason, and listen, I understand things come up. I understand things are an issue. I understand things are said. I understand you go out of the country. I understand legs, arms fall off, people die, pets die. I get it. Okay. And the first time I was fine. But when you have a schedule with me and you don't contact me to let me know 2 to 3 days in advance that you're not going to be on my show, that is where I have a problem. Because I want to say this, as an individual with cerebral palsy, my time is valuable. I've mentioned this to you guys hundreds of times. I have over 3 YouTubes. I now have 4. I have a music career. I have a talk show. I have things that I run constantly. I have things that I do. I manage 4 pages, not to mention social media, a blog, all of that. I manage all of that and I don't complain, and I'm not complaining now. The problem that I have is when people don't take your time seriously. And when it becomes this thing about, oh, I'll just do it next week, he'll be all right. Yeah, I'm going to be all right. You're right. Because you know why? I have a backup plan for my shows. I don't just depend on people. Because the truth is, you cannot depend on people. Because eventually, everybody is going to let you down. Now, when I say that, nobody is perfect. Not even me. I cannot be where I'm supposed to be, do what I'm supposed to do all the time without what we call a hiccup, as it were, or something going on to where, something happens, because life happens. And I don't mind life. I don't mind life. I get it. I understand. My big issue is, if something's going to happen to where you can't make it and I have you scheduled, say something. Now, with that being said, I had an issue Monday where I was supposed to contact a young lady and I was not able to contact her because I was sick. I've been sick for about 2.5 days. And nobody knows this because I haven't broadcasted it on Facebook or social media. Nobody needed to know that I was on the toilet for 4.5 hours. Nobody needed to know that I was sick. Nobody needed to know that. It happens. So I did not contact her. I was not able to contact her, and I'm going to contact her after my show and pathetically apologize because I should have contacted her and I wasn't able to. Things happen. I get it. But if you've got time to go off and on to Facebook, and you've got time to go off and on of Twitter and off and on of YouTube, then you have time to send a 30-second text to say, hey, DJ, I apologize. I'm not going to make it this week. Can we please reschedule? Because I guarantee you, if your story is good enough and I reschedule you once, I'll reschedule you again. I'm not a hard person to work with, but I know what needs to be done, and I know how to do it. I've been doing this long enough as a radio personality to know how to run this thing backwards, frontwards, upwards, downwards, leftwards, rightwards, diagonal, post, whatever you want to see or do. I know how to run it because I've been given the instruction and the time that it takes to get it done. Now, the sad part about this is not the first time, and this is not the last time that this will happen, because the world is worried about convenience and what they want to do. The world doesn't give a jackrabbit in a box about you. But when you have certain people that do care and that are on your side and say, you know what? Why did this happen? Why did this go this way? It's not supposed to be. Something is awry here. Something is amiss here. When that question comes up and you feel violated or disrespected, or something's been done wrong to you, you have the right to voice your concern. Now, I just spoke with a young lady about concerns at her job. And again, the same thing. You have to do what bosses tell you while you're at that job. But when that boss disrespects you, or when that boss harasses you, or when that boss plays a game with his or her power that he or her has, that's an issue. And that is called harassment. And that is when your time becomes in question. But when you do your job, and you do your job well, and you do what you're supposed to do, and you do what you are asked by your peers and your employees and your bosses, and yet they continue to harass you or push you into a corner that you don't want to be into. Hey, Jenny, how are you? It is not something that you have to or should put up with, because yes, a job gives you money. Yes, a job gives you some form of insurance and security, but no job is worth your integrity. No job is worth lowering yourself below the standards that you want to be at. And I feel the same way. I have been asked by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, can I be on your show? And I say every week, just because you ask me or just because you email me that you want to be on my show does not mean that you're automatically going to be on my show. Now, I'm not going to not hear you out and not set up an interview and give you a chance, because your story deserves to be heard. Charles, let me touch on this right here. This is kind of true, but I want you to think about something. And you said this right here. Actually, people are now selfish. They normally just now care if it benefits them, etc. If you want me on, I would happy to be too. I would love to have you, and we need to work that out so we can get you on, because you have an amazing story as well. Here's the thing. Let me just touch on this, something that Charles said. You have to care about what suits you. Okay? There's nothing wrong with caring about benefits and caring about what the job does, and severance packages and insurances and 401k and the benefits the job has. But you can't go big-headed with it. Oh, I got a better job than you. I look better than you. I taste better than you. I am better than you. See, it's when you go that big level, when you go over the curb, when you go over the hump, when you go over that transitional box that you're on, and you get into somebody else's face, space, or place and think that you're better than them because of what you got, that's when it jumps. See, that's when you as a person have to check your own personal space and go, wait a minute, where am I at? What am I doing? Because I'm going to tell y'all something. We need to realize as people that we are human. We are not superheroes. None of us are superheroes. None of us have superpowers, although we want them. And I've been told I have superpowers. When it comes to little babies, I can make them stop crying just like that. I have that ability. I'm just good with kids and dogs. It's women I have trouble with. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. But the issue is, when I take what I do well and I force it on somebody else to make them feel inferior, or to make them feel they're not as good as I am, or I'm better than they are, that's not the way to do things. And that is not the way that I carry myself. And that's a great point. Charles, that's a great point. That's what you mean by ego versus great relationships. So, and this is why right here, when a moment like this happens, this is why I keep going. Because as dynamic as the young lady's story is that I was supposed to have on, we get a show like this. And we get people like Charles that pop up at the right time. Because Charles tries to be on all my shows. He tries to be to as many as he can, and he supports me in every way that he can. We've talked for years. And it's just one of those things when he says something, that's what I mean. Ego versus a deep relationship. But there's also a point where you have to have a deep relationship with yourself. You know, the same young lady I talked to about her job, and we were talking about some of the things that she was going through. I was so proud of her because she asked me a question. She asked me a question where she didn't understand something, and she said, "Honey, I don't understand this. This doesn't make sense to me. Can you help me? Can you explain this?" And I told her that the way she asked that question took so much growth and so much respect and so much love for her and for myself that it made me feel good that she depended upon me to ask the question. And she said to me, she said, "You don't think that's stupid?" I said, "Honey, that's not stupid. When you need me or when you ask a question to me and I can do my best to answer it for you and to give you guidance in life, I don't mind doing that. I'm not going to do it for you. Now, if it's something that you honestly can't do and you need help with, I will help you with it, but I'm not going to do it for you." And she understood that and she smiled. And she said, "Why is that not stupid?" Because it's what we're talking about right here. My job is to help people. That is why I was placed on this earth. In some way, shape, form, a facet, I am supposed to help people in some way. That is what I'm supposed to do. It's not about money. It's not about getting paid for it, although I do like it. It's not about money. It's not about getting paid for it. It's not about the almighty green dollar, because we've gone over this thousands and thousands and thousands of times before. No matter if you have that green dollar or that credit card or that plastic in your pocket, you are the person that has to take that card out or that money out or that change out and make the transaction happen. That is what life is, folks. See, we think that technology is our best friend. We think that technology is great at that job, and it is to a point. But we have to have someone, number one, to operate that technology. And the big part of this is we have to initiate the transaction as individual people. And when you get there, when you get on that level right there, that's what makes your time worthwhile. Thousands of us have jobs. Millions of us have jobs we hate, and we're just there to pay the bills and to make ends meet. But a few of us have jobs that are important to us as individuals, that are important to us as people, because we feel like we make a difference. Here's the thing. If you enjoy what you do, it stops being a job and you realize it's where you're supposed to be. Let me say that again. If you have a job where you love what you do, it stops being a job and it becomes where you were meant to be at that time. Hi, Christina. How are you? Let me read these two comments right here that just came in. I love this. My girlfriend and I have this conversation all the times. She says I work too hard and care about other people too much and not think about myself. Let me touch on that. That is the world dilemma. That is the world dilemma. You mind if I go to an English accent for a second? Therefore, it is of the world that we are in where we, the people, are strapped down to what we must do for others versus ourselves. It becomes a natural phenomenon, as it were. It becomes this great, big, giant battle that we're in. What do I do? Do I do it for them or do I do it for me? You see, this is where it becomes both. But in life, you have to remember that as much as you do for other people, you have to remember that what she said is very important, young man, because that as much as you help others, you have to take care of yourself as well. So, Christina, to your comment, I am not good with technology. That's why God sent me a software engineer as a soon-to-be husband. I can understand that. I understand technology. My mother-in-law and mother do not. Sometimes my girlfriend does not. Sometimes it is different. Sometimes it goes to, I don't understand this. Can you help me? I'll step in, plug A into B into C into D, and something will work. Hi, Faith. How are you? To your other comment, Christina, I'm definitely not tech smart. I'm definitely not tech smart in the one in the relationship. I know God has face palmed 100 times a day with with me and my blonde moments. Look, everybody has them, and the amazing thing is when you stop and have that blonde moment that you call, it's a realization. Everybody can't do everything all the time. There are things, and what I love about it. You're very welcome. What I love about it is that it enables people to realize no. Some things yes, some things no. But it enables people to realize that we all need help at different avenues of time. We all need help with different things. And that's okay, because nobody in the world that I know of, that I exist in, I don't think, and I could be wrong, but nobody that I've met in this world yet does everything perfectly, because we are not made as perfect beings. That is where, what Brother Charles was talking about earlier, ego versus deep relationships. When you know me, I'm going to tell you this right now, live on Let Go Radio, live on the Disabled Broadcast, live on YouTube, live on Facebook, live straight up to heaven. When you come to meet me, you better check your ego at the door, because if not, I'm going to do it for you. Can I get an amen? I mean, I'm just saying, I'm going to say that one more time. I don't care where you're from, I don't care what your name is, I don't care what you do. If you're going to meet me, you better check your ego at the door, because if not, I'm going to do it for you. I would second that, Christina. And I've told him, since very early in you guys' relationship that I agree in that situation. But to go off of that, you guys had to figure that out with him. Thank you. And I say this, and I don't want to seem like I'm preaching at the top of a sermon or behind a pulpit, but I say things for a reason. I speak what is on my mind for a reason. There are too many people in this world right now that are slaves to their job. Their boss treats them like crap, and they don't do anything about it because they think that's what they're supposed to do. They think that's what is supposed to happen. They can talk to them any sort of way, and vice versa. Some of the bosses out there getting a bad rap, and they're good people. I'm not against bosses. Everybody has a position as to where they are in the workplace. Now, that doesn't mean that that position has to stay where you're at, okay? And I say this respectfully, so understand, okay? There are promotions everywhere. Men and women should be treated equally. All people should be treated equally, not just men and women. I don't care what type you are. I don't care what you look like. I don't care how many legs and arms you have. If you got purple and green and yellow, and if you're sprouting two heads, I'm gonna pray for you, but it's gonna be all right if you sprout two heads. I'm just saying that's where I'm gonna go. But everybody deserves the same respect, because when you're on that level, and when the boss and employee relationship doesn't become, I'm better than you, but I'm here to help you, but I want you to understand I have certain rules that you have to follow, that becomes, and the way you present that itself, that has to be the way it runs. Because in the work employee relationship, just like with my student right now, I have a student in karate, and there has to be a student instructor relationship. Now, I'm not going to walk all over him and say, look, I am more powerful than you because I am a black belt and you are a lowly, just starting student. No, I'm not going to do that, because that is not my job. My job is to lift him up, pick him up, and help him better himself. That is what my job is. That is what I do. That is what I was placed on this earth and designed as a human to do. I have figured out mine, therefore mine purpose. I know what it is I must do, and therefore I know how it is I must do it. I can say it in any accent, as it were. Russian, I be here for a long time. I lift up, I make better, everything be okay. American, I'm going to lift you up as high as I can, and you're going to be all right. You may fall down a little bit, you get back up, you keep going. English, I am here for you, but therefore I am going to build you as you are, and we're going to go over the mountain together and continue to do what we do as people. Creepy old man, you got to do what you got to do. You want a popsicle? You got to be with it. It's not one piece. It's little pieces that fit together to form one purpose. I realize today in this world that people are going to piss you off no matter what you do. I realize that no popsicles. I realize that people are going to piss you off no matter what you do. Got a couple of comments I want to read here. Let me just go through. So you saw my doctor, you saw my ego. It isn't important to me. We do what we do out of love. Understand that. Very true. My purpose is to feed people Southern cooking and make people laugh. I'll be over for dinner at 6 tomorrow. Mashed potatoes and fried chicken, please. And I understand there are no popsicles there, Christina. That's all right. Not everybody likes them. Not everybody wants them, especially from a creepy old man named Herbert. All right. I understand that. I'm not mad about it. Happy Halloween, everybody. Okay, so we'll go on with that. Now, to move forward, I want to explain what happened to me today and why I am speaking about my time. I said to all of you as we started and as I came on the air, no matter where you are, sorry, sweating, no matter where you are and no matter what you do, your time and you are important. No matter what you become, no matter what job field you are in, your time and you are important. Every moment of every day, of every second that you live and walk and talk and be and exist on this earth, your time and you are important. And it is when we take that mantra and we place it here and we place it here and we start living by it that myself, my time are important Not to where we're bigger than everybody else, but we realize exactly where we're supposed to be and exactly what we're supposed to do. And we find the power of purpose. Let me say this. The power of purpose in everyone's life is the most important thing you will ever figure out. When you figure out your niche, when you figure out your purpose, when you figure out your plan, when you figure out exactly what it is that you are supposed to do, at that moment. Hi, Cuzzo. How are you? I love you. I've got to tell you, this is the moment that can change your life. And I want everybody to pay attention right now. Because I told you we were going to have one of these shows where we bust that real topic and it's about to come out. So I go to Arby's today. I have not been to Arby's in over 2 months because I'm training, because I'm trying to eat right, because different things, losing a little weight, looking a little good, that kind of thing. It is what it is. So I decided off the top of the hour, because I wanted to and because I felt like it, I was going to go to Arby's. I was going to go to Arby's for their food. And I go into Arby's and I pull the door open and I get into the restaurant and there's no line. And I go up to the desk and I say, I would like yada, yada, yada. And I make my order. And it is what it is. I get that order and I look behind the counter and I ask the manager, I'll call you back. I'm doing a show. I ask the manager, I say, do you have any bags? I asked if they had any bags. I need, to put it on the back of my chair because I want to carry it. Now, this young man who is an employee all the way in the back proceeds to look at me and say, we don't have any bags, sir. I'm sorry, sir. We don't have any plastic bags with handles on them, sir. I'm very sorry, sir. We do not have any bags with handles on them, sir. We just have the paper bags in front of you, sir. 4 times, this young man decides to let me know that Arby's no longer has plastic bags to carry. And as if I did not hear him the first time, he decided yet again to let me know that Arby's does not have any plastic bags for me, the man in the chair, to carry my food upon the street and back to my custom location. We do not have any bags, sir. You're correct, JR. That is not professional. So I began to wait. And I smiled and said, thank you very much, no problem. Place them all into one big bag and I will carry them. So I waited and the manager stepped out and she came to the front and I said, could you check in the bag and see if you have any Walmart bags or a Food Lion bag or any kind of plastic bag? No longer talking to this person who is still in the back with his head above the machinery, standing at least 8 foot tall, looking at me saying, we still don't have any bags, sir. I'm sorry, sir. As I told you the first time, sir, we don't carry those bags. At this moment, my blood began to boil, and I'm sitting there, and I'm going, okay, I heard you the first 3 times, sir. And then he looked at me as if, oh my God, what have I done? The old faithful geyser is about to erupt. And I thought to myself, I said, damn, son, I wasn't even talking to you. I was speaking to your manager. And at that moment, the whole restaurant and the whole staff begin to stop what they're doing. Fries were bubbling. Roast beef is cooking. Subs are being made. But the world seems to stop at that very second. And I said, sir, let me explain one thing to you, sir. I heard you the first 4 freaking times. I am in a wheelchair. I am not deaf nor stupid. Now, at this point, there is a man sitting in a booth that is partially sleeping with his sweater on and his hands covered up his face, and his face is buried in his sweater. He sits up and looks at me and goes, got that right. And he began to drift back into dreamland, put his face back into his arms, and fall back asleep. So I take my roast beefs and my French dips and my crinkle fries that I got for the entire household, and I go back to my home. And at this moment, I say to myself, who in the living HE double hockey sticks for what plan is this dude think I'm going down the street just talking to myself, just yada that, and I'm just going, right? I'm just going. And I can't figure out what is pissing me off more, the fact that he did that or his manager allowed him to do it and did and said nothing. You see, here is where that line that I talked about earlier of employee and boss kind of blurs. Because I will tell you what I would have done in that case. What I would have done, I would have said, son, come here just a minute, please. I would have pulled him to the back. I would have shut the door, and I would have ripped him a new butthole behind closed doors verbally. Because he would have been fired. There would have been no reprimand. There would have been no second chance. There would have been, that is a person. You don't talk to him like that just because he is in a chair. I'm sorry. Get out. You're fired. You're done. That's it. Because that is a line that you should never cross. But yet, still, in our society that we created, this happens. Our time is violated. Our actions are violated. Our thoughts are violated. What we say is violated. What we do is violated. And why? Nobody knows. Why it suddenly became okay to talk to a person like they were nothing. I thought about it, Christina. I thought about it. I did. But you see, I have to realize in my life and in my way of work and who I am as a martial artist and a carrying black belt, I have to realize, and my lady said it to me earlier, you're better than that. Because I told her the story as well. And she said it just as clear, I love you and you're better than that. As in, try to let it go and keep going. Don't worry about him. There are points in your life where you have to dismiss what someone says or does. Because I could have told his manager to deal with that. But I'm not going to tell her how to do her job, because that doesn't solve the problem. Telling someone how to do their job doesn't solve the problem. Telling someone that you're angry and how you feel is only part of it. The part of it becomes the solution when it's dealt with. And when it's no longer seen as the person in the chair, but the customer. That is when the problem is solved. When we don't have to deal with this as disabled people, but we're no longer looked at as disabled people. We're looked at as freaking people. Not freak of nature, not different, but the same. You know, I look at my life, and every time I think I'm making a difference, something like this happens. And today, when I was so sad that the person that I had originally scheduled to be on did not contact me, I was down because I wanted that person to be on. I'm going to get to that in just a second, Christina. I'm going to highlight that. But I want to mention this. If you stop and take the pebble out of your shoe, the walk upon the road becomes much smoother in your life. Let me say that again. If you stop and you take the pebble out of your shoe during your journey, the walk along the road or the path you take will be much smoother. You know, I have heard people tell me I'm a leader, I'm an inspiration, I get things done, this, and that. You're this, you're great, you're wonderful, you're loved, blah, 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 blah. But if I don't take that into consideration, if I don't take that into my life, and if I don't apply that to what I am doing, what does it mean? What does it mean? It means that I am staying in the same spot that I've stayed in for 40 years. I have accomplished more in the last 5 years than I ever accomplished in 35. Because of one thing: the initiative that I have had and the people in my corner that I have had to take the time to say to me, you are important and you have the power to do great things. But if you don't use that power and you don't bring that out to the world, how are you going to get the message across? Who is going to listen to it and go, you know what? That dude knows what he's talking about. That message meant something. I can relate to that in the most high. Because a moment like that doesn't happen often. We have a chance to impact people every day. Whether we choose to impact those people is on us. When we are given that initiative inside of our brain and inside of our soul, that feeling that you have that you should do something, that you should say something, that's just not you. That's someone speaking to you and through you. Listen to it because it is powerful. And in life, you're not going to get that many chances to make a difference. So if you bypass them and you wait and you say, what do I do now? I cannot find my purpose. I am confused. I am angry. I don't know what to do. Just said right there, small acts of kindness go a long way. I look at my life, and I have been lucky enough to go around this sun 40 times. And I thank God every day for the 40 times around the sun that I have made it. But I have not made it alone. And I would like to take a moment to thank those people in my corner and say that you matter as much, if not more, than I do. Because the gentlemen and ladies that are on this show right now commenting back and forth know that I don't do this for me. It is not only for me, it is for the people that I impact. It is for the people that take that impact and go outside and say, you know what? What he said made sense. I want to apply that to everyday life. I want to take that and I want to make a difference. My life is not mundane. I am not nothing. If you are tired of sitting on the couch doing the same thing that you've done for 30 years, get off your ass and do something different. It's as simple as that. And everybody can make the excuse of, I can't do it because I've got this, this, and this, and that, and that, and this, that. You can find 26 reasons why you can't. But you can only find one right off the top of the bat that you can. And I'm going to tell you what that reason is. Because you need to shake up your life and do what you want to do for a change. How many of you have a job right now that you wish you could be doing something different, and you've been doing the same job for 5 years or more? Well, I'm afraid I'm not going to get another one. You cannot not do something out of fear. Because if you don't do something out of fear, it's going to keep you down where you've been the same time and the same number of years, and 5's going to turn into 10, and yada, 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 and it's going to be the same daggone thing every day. Sometimes you have to take life by the horns and do what you need to do. Not for them, not for those, but for you. Hey, Cindy. Hey, how are you? Hey, Aaron, how are you? I know that people have heard this. I know that people have heard me say sometimes you've got to take charge of your life because nobody else is going to do it for you. Let me read a couple of comments here, and I'm sorry I let these go through, but I wanted to get these. I wanted to go back to Charles, and I want y'all to listen to this. As a nonverbal person, I have moments like that all the time. I had a moment a few days ago. I had a woman who did something like that. I saw that she was Filipino, so I started a conversation in their language. I cooled down the hot moment fast. Christina, I share my lunch every week with at least one person that didn't bring theirs for whatever the reason. Listen to this. Giving someone a ride, making them a meal, volunteering to watch their children so they can get a break, helping someone pay a utility bill that's struggling, giving away clothes, anything that you can do to bless someone. A moment in life can change somebody for a lifetime. A moment in life to show someone that they matter can make a difference. A moment in life to say, I love you, you're going to be okay, you're better than that, you're bigger than that, shake it off and keep going, can change them forever because you know that they're loved, you know that they're matter, you know that they matter. I've told you guys, I feel like at times that I don't matter, but it's very few and far between because I've got so many people that tell me every Wednesday that I matter. I've got so many people that call me and text me and say, man, your story really touched me. That show was awesome. That person that was on that show last week, she really made me feel different. That person that was on that show last week, he really made a lot of sense. There is a moment that can change your life. All you have to do is reach out and grab it. There is a moment in your life that is about to take shape, but if you keep that window curtain closed, you're going to miss that moment. You have to take your life serious enough to make a change. You have to take that moment in your life and realize that it's time for you to do what you need to do at the time you need to do it, not for somebody else. Sometimes it is about you, and sometimes it needs to be about you. But if you're waiting on that job and you've been sitting on that couch waiting on that job and haven't picked up the phone and said that you're still interested, it could be that's what they're waiting on. The initiative is what makes you known. The action is what makes it happen. I can do shows like this every week. I can sit there and I can say things and I can talk about stuff and it can touch people and people can get on and people can ask me, when can I be on your show? But if it doesn't continue and they apply it outside of the hour that I spend on the show on Wednesday, if they do not apply it outside of where we are right now, it does not matter. Thank you, my dear. I appreciate it. And it amazes me to have someone in my life that values me so. To feel that way is amazing. But I want the 10 people that are watching right now to take what I have said and to apply it outside of the hour that we have been speaking tonight. Apply it in your everyday life. When your boss is mistreating you, email above their head. Talk to the person above their head. When your parents are mistreating you, tell somebody. When you are being talked down to, stepped on, bullied upon, tell somebody, because it needs to be done. And if you don't do it, the person that you're waiting on to do it may not do it either. Because that's just like when you're in a classroom and you have a teacher that's teaching something. If you are afraid to ask a question that needs to be asked because the other 11 students behind you are afraid to ask that question, then what do you do? Well, who can't love you? I talk to my counselor. That helps me on a daily basis. And that's good. That's good. You should. You know, I've heard this so many times, and I want to apply this with the last 4 minutes that I've got on the show. I went fishing with my brother from another mother the other day, and we caught a total of 48 fish together. He caught 15, and I caught there was like 25. And we were sitting talking at the end of the fishing trip, and he was listening to me, and we kind of had that brotherly man moment as myself, Steve Taylor, and Mike Deal. And we had finished packing up, and I had a stone in my hand um, at the end of the trip, and I was praying to God, thankful for everything in my life at that moment because of the gifts that He's given me very recently. And I dropped that stone in the water, and I watched it ripple. And I watched the ripples start out very, very big and continue throughout the water. Uh, and I had still had my line in the water at the time because I fish until the very last um, the very last time I can. And I met a young man who was a deep sea fisherman that I had never seen the type of pole that he had before, yada yada. We talked a little bit, and I had crossed his line, and he came over and he actually helped me uncross my line, and and um, and as I pulled in my line and he helped me uncross it, I realized I had a fish. Every tangle that you have is not a tangle. It's a knot that you need to undo to reveal the rest of your life. Let me say that one more time. Every knot that you have is not necessarily a knot or a tangle. It's a knot that you need to undo so that you can get to the rest of your life. So understand, just because it's not happening right now, undo that knot on your string that you've been sitting there fighting with and reveal the rest of your life. Or ask God to reveal it for you. Sometimes it takes the right person in your life to show you how much you're loved. Sometimes it takes the right person in your life and in their life to show you how much you love them. And sometimes you have to move that barricade that's been barricading you from the rest of your life. Just how you cross the line on fishing to meet the guy that you can be friends with is just like a relationship. When destiny calls you, you're meant to be with each other. I'm going to share this quote before I end it. If what I do does not affect myself, how can it affect anybody else around me? And if it affects everyone else around me, how long before it affects me? I want to thank every individual that's watched this show, that's commented. I will say that this is the most watched show with the most number of people I've ever had for an hour time period. I thank you, all of you, for sitting here with me for an hour and spending time with me for an hour to listen, to understand, and to help yourself. I will see you guys next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Thank you so much. If you would like to be a guest on the show, please email me at mycpdoesnotdefineme at yahoo.com, or contact me on Messenger at Facebook, D space J Carter Jr. You can contact me on YouTube at Chairmaster Games, Worth the Wait, Cooking with DJ Carter, and My CP Does Not Define Me. You can contact me on Instagram at My CP Does Not Define Me. You can contact me on my blog at CarterDJ85, Wixsite 1. Please reach out to me and let me know your story. Because the only story that's never heard is the one you haven't told. Thank y'all very much. I love you all. Have a great evening. If you can't be good, be bad, but be good at it. This is D to the J with the roll away, saying we'll see you next week for episode 111 of My CP Does Not Define Me.
All right, everybody. That's going to do it for this week's episode of My CP Does Not Define Me. As always, you can catch us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live on the Disability Global Broadcast, Facebook Live, and on www.letgoradio.net. Also, if you haven't already checked out our YouTube channel, My CP Does Not Define Me, where we post all of our show's episodes in our My CP playlist. As always, I'm your host, D to the J with the roll away. If you can't be good, be bad, but be good at it. We'll see you next week.